recording? You want it in slow motion or anything? Hey guys, thank you for joining me. We're going to be talking about a one-take video that I did a few years ago in Mount Everest. For those of you that don't know, I've been to Mount Everest a few times shooting different things. I went in 2021 and I went in 2022. And 2022's trip was a little more hectic. They were both really hectic in the sense that it was just kind of an organization nightmare on the drones aspect, maybe not so much the people aspect, but on the first one, the people aspect was a little weird too. But the second one, definitely the drone aspect was just kind of like a no understanding what I'm doing there other than I'm supposed to be capturing footage. It was super strange. I ended up paying for my way out there in a sense of like getting the permits to go up to potentially dive Everest from base camp, or not from base camp, but camp 2, which is at like, I don't know, 20 something thousand feet. So I'll get into it a little bit more. And if you do want to get into the in-depth, put in the comment section below, because I can tell at least my side of the story. It was a very ridiculous time. And I did get some decent footage out of it, but it was kind of a weird situation how I left. I almost like was kind of like held hostage almost, but not really. And then I ended up fighting with a bunch of people, not like physically, but it was a big misunderstanding and a big argument. And then I left and went to the hospital and all kinds of crazy stuff happened. So anyways, if you want to hear that story, comment section below. Before we go any further, let me kind of give you a background of what's happening in this video. So in this video, again, I did the whole 40-mile hike to Everest Base Camp. So basically how it works is you fly into Kathmandu, you hang out for a couple days, that's roughly at like 5,000 feet above sea level. Then you take a small prop plane up to Lukla, which is like a little town in the mountains. It's about 9,500 feet above sea level, and the runway's super sketchy. It's in some of my Nepal vlogs. If you check those out, I have 14 videos, and I actually have more, but there's like a playlist I'll link right here, right there. And yeah, so you can check those out. But yeah, so you fly into Lukla at 9,500 feet. Then you start your trek to Everest Base Camp, which is about 38 miles. You go up and down a bunch to try to accumulate or to acclimatize. So again, you might start at 9,500, you climb up to the next city or hike up to the next city with most of your gear. You don't have a sleeping bag and a tent and everything because we're staying in some of these, you know, little villages along the way. But you might hike up to, you know, maybe 10, 11,000 feet and then hike back down to 9,800 or 10,000 and kind of acclimatize. And then you hike up again, and then you come back down, and you like leapfrog back and forth to try to acclimatize. You go up real high during the day, and then you hike back down. So you end up hiking a little more than 38 miles, but at the end of it, you hike a total of 38, whatever, and then you get to Everest Base Camp, which is at 18,000 feet above sea level, and it's basically set up on this glacier. And it is taken down every year because the glacier shifts and moves and does all kinds of crazy stuff. Let me show you guys some video of base camp real quick so you have an understanding of where I'm staying. So this is about 18,000 feet above sea level. Again, this is all built on top of a glacier that's constantly melting and moving and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So again, set up, flew some stuff, ended up doing this weird little shot where we did this power loop over this dude crossing the ladder, because this is where they do the ice climbing training and the glacier crossing training, because a lot of people that come here maybe have a little limited ice climbing skills, which you kind of do need mediocre ice climbing skills at least to get up through the glacier to get to the higher base camps, or the higher camps, sorry, camp 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the summit would be the 5th camp. But anyways, this was one of the days that was kind of slow. We were resting from a previous day of training in the glacier, and I was like, you know what, I want to do a one take. I want to run around and organize a one take video for Everest Base Camp, at least for the camp that we were staying in. There are multiple expedition companies that set up their own camps at base camp, so it's their base camp. Anyways, so this is this particular camp's base camp setup, and I wanted to showcase everything, all the amenities and all the tents and the styles and the ways that you can go about living at base camp, because you do end up living at base camp for about a month at the end of it when you try to summit Mount Everest, potentially even longer depending on how much training you've done or potentially shorter, depending on how much training you've done and when the weather window is. But let's go ahead. I have an actual video that I shot up there that is me talking about what we're doing, and then as the video is playing along, I'll talk to you maybe a little bit about some of the things that were unplanned, or maybe they were planned. So let's go ahead and get this started. I'll show you what I was saying, at least at that point in time, of what I was thinking I was going to do. A little behind the scenes of a one-take shot. So we got this guy, 5.5-inch drone with a GoPro 10 on it, with an ND4 auto shutter, standard crossfire stuff. I'm gonna start way out there. Sorry for the wind. Come through these flags, run into this little guy, come out, check this tent out, fly over here, check this tent out, fly up. There's some prayer flags. Come in here. This is the cafe. Go around the cafe, run up these flags again, run along the top here, check out those solar panels, run out there, and you have girls on a helipad doing yoga. Then we run over here for the VVIP tent. Got Brody down there. Oh no, it's not Brody. Sorry, I was looking at the camera. And then we come into this tent, come out, run over the top, and then into that camp, and then reveal the whole Cooper Glacier. And then not Everest, because Everest is back there. Not this mountain, but that one. So yeah, it should be interesting. We've already done a practice like dry run. Worked out pretty well. Had to shift a few people around, then we're gonna grab some audio clips and put it all together. All right, so that was kind of my explanation, and you saw exactly what I had planned. I'm flying a 5-inch drone with no propeller guards or anything, just my standard freestyle drone with DJI version 1. Again, this was 2022, this was before O3 came out. So flying DJI standard, I'm running Crossfire, and I'm just running a 5-inch drone. And for this, I actually brought a spare backup drone that had lower kV motors on it. So when I went on this trip, I ended up flying the 7-inch that you guys saw in the previous video on a lot of stuff. And then I ended up actually trying some different things. I brought a couple drones that were, or I brought 4 drones. I bought 2 7-inches and 2 5-inches. One was a dead cat and one was a standard like X frame. I ended up flying, I made the dead cat like higher kV. I think I put 2400 kV motors on it, and I ran a really low pitch 5-inch prop, 5.1, whatever you want to call it. And I ran that setup on 6S. And then I actually had a quad that I brought that was on 1700 kV motors. So like the standard stuff that I'd fly here on 6S. And I flew it on 6S up there, and it was like kind of this weird sweet spot where yes, it wasn't as powerful, and if you like were diving out of something, you couldn't really give it full throttle and it would do anything because the air was so thin. So you just had to really anticipate everything, but the throttle response was so buttery. It was like not really responsive because it was such thin air. So anyways, I ended up using the lower kV drone so that I had a little bit more dexterity in my throttle control, so that it was kind of like built-in expo because the air was thin. So anyways, let's go ahead and start watching this video. And there are audio clips in the back here that I actually did the audio, whatever you want to, like the Foley work or the sound engineering, I guess you could call it. I did the sound engineering for this video, and I literally went out with my iPhone and like recorded different sounds along the way. So I retraced my path and then recorded sounds in different places and then blended them all together in the timeline, and then added a few little extra sounds like music playing, or maybe like, I don't know, people talking or something like that. And I actually had the girls, you'll hear in a second, all the girls doing the yoga stuff, I had them record themselves doing yoga, and that was freaking super cool. But I just thought it was really cool that it's like actual live audio from that particular group of humans. So let's go ahead and start this. And anyway, so this wind noise is actual wind noise. I flew in here with that 5-inch drone, like I said, no protection, just up in there. And I set up in a pretty good vantage point. I'll show you where I am here in a second so you can kind of get an idea. And these buildings are not, I mean, they're tents, they're not buildings, so there's not a lot of interference with the video or the RC connection. So again, flew over the top of this little guy, and I'm just showing off some of the like tents that were available. Like this was a higher end section, like this was the VIP area. If you wanted one of those tents, I think it was like $65,000 for the entire expedition. If you wanted a smaller tent, it might have been a little less. There's prayer flags everywhere. Fly up the prayer flags and go into our like our main area where this is like the cafe. So flew in here, had some people staged up. Everybody that was involved with this knew what was going on. Some of them were actually just chilling, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna fly a drone in here. You know, if it looks at you, don't look back at it. Kind of just like act natural scenario. Fly over the top here, and I wanted to showcase the solar panel because it is kind of like a self-sustaining base camp as far as like the batteries and the solar goes. And the sun is extremely harsh up there, and obviously the temperature swings are pretty harsh too. And then I had these young ladies out here doing this yoga. I love her South African accent. Super cool. And then run back over here, and we wanted to showcase like this super VIP station. So there was like one of these princesses from a pretty cool country in here. This is like where she was staying when she was at base camp. But this is Mingma David. He was like a good buddy of mine that was working with these guys. I think he still does. Anyways, he was in there just looking on his computer, acting cool, and we put some music over the top of that. This was like the VIP tent, obviously. These are all guys that are not necessarily VIP. These were just people that helped out with the shoot that were actual people doing the Everest climb. So, and then this was a different camp. This was for a different mountain. I can't remember the mountain's name, but basically a little bit smaller. They're not there as long, but they do stay at Everest base camp and then hike back down and climb the other mountain. And then I just kind of showcase the rest of base camp, and obviously there are different camps for different companies staged along these different places on that side of the glacier. So kind of a cool background story, at least if you've seen the video before, because I have posted that video in like a raw formation where it's like just that part with no talking over it. It's kind of cool to see, and then maybe have a little bit of insight of how I pulled it off. And again, like I said, all the audio engineering, and I edited that here at base camp on my computer, just sitting in one of those tents with wind blasting all around and it being super cold at night. But yeah, I have plenty of ridiculous stories. I actually am really enjoying this, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from friends and family and just people in general that I work with, and honestly in the comment section too, that are like, yo, I really love that kind of talking us through what you did video, so that we have an understanding of how it actually went down versus it just like being shown and then you going, oh, I don't know exactly, you know, how that happened or how he did that. It's kind of cool knowing a little bit about the inside scoop of what actually went down. So if you like these style videos, I enjoy doing them. I actually really enjoy kind of reminiscing and then also telling you a little bit about what I did, actually all of it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you can, that'd be great. Leave me some comments and some likes, and if you hated the video, just give me one of these. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. I'm actually enjoying making videos pretty consistently these days, so hopefully it keeps going. See you in the next one.